Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Danny, and today we have the pleasure of having Tim Thomas on the podcast. He is a former Australian Special Forces operator who has turned his passion for helping veterans into something tangible in the form of sleep. He has seen firsthand the importance of improving the quality of sleep, especially for veterans with PTSD. So he founded Breathwork in Bed. This is so powerful because it's literally helping people heal their bodies. Sleep is a vital function of the body that allows the body and brain to repair, restore, and re-energize. It directly affects physical health, emotional well-being, and cognitive performance. Getting a good night's sleep is literally the first step to improving health all the way around, not just for veterans, but for everybody. And anytime you listen to anybody talk about health, exercise, being smarter, all of these things, it starts with a good night's sleep. Hi, Tim. Thank you. Welcome to the rabbit hole. I'm really excited to have you.
Danny, great to be here.
I am really excited to talk to you because it's not often that I get to talk to other veterans, but you lived in a different world than I did because American Special Forces, not that I was Special Forces by any means, but like Australia, like it's different, but it's the same. Can you go into that a little bit? Like your
Sure.
background?
Uh, Australian Special Forces are in two different categories. We have the commandos, which is uh, highly skilled infantry that can cross amphibious terrain, insert via, various different means, air, land, sea. And then you've got the SAS, and we do that on scale. Commandos do that on scale. And then we've got the SAS, Special Air Service, and they're like small teams, go in, kill, capture type missions. And I was in 2004 to 2010, had my deployments to Afghanistan in that time. And people ask what's the difference between, regular units and special forces.
Hmm.
And I say it like this. In a regular unit, there are people that are just as fit, that can shoot just as well and had, all the mental acumen. But in the special forces unit, their lowest common denominator is a lot higher than the lowest common denominator in a regular unit. So there's a lot of screenings to get to sort of raise up the minimum standard.
Right.
So and that becomes apparent, when you're on deployment, when you're doing things, and you're as fast as the slowest player, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So then, okay, so you do your service and then you get out. What leads you to breath work and sleep?
It's ironic you should say that, because in Afghanistan, the part of the operational intent was to off-center the enemy. And a big part of that was off-centering, meaning you attack something that's part of their uh, center of power, and if you can off-center it, then they no longer function. And sleep was one of those things. So we would run operations during the night time, to deliberately attack their sleep, because we didn't know anything about the science of sleep. We just knew, Danny, that if we could take it out for 3 nights, it would mess them up better than a bullet. All
Right.
right. And who do you want to be fighting? A well-rested enemy, or someone who's, not functioning, half delirious, and more worried about what you're doing. So and ironically, again, we weren't sleeping very much when we were on deployment.
Right.
And and this is beyond not sleeping. Your whole body hurts from carrying heavy stuff. And things happen that attack your system too, like you lose your mates, you have
Hmm.
limbs blown off others. And I remember being in this really low state, Danny, that I thought, there's no point. I'm going to die out here. Why even try? It's like I've
Yeah.
only got 2 cents worth of energy. And it's funny what happens when you're at absolute low. It's almost like our ancestral knowledge kind of comes in, because I do believe we've all got this ancestral knowledge, but we just lack the environment for it to pop out, because it only comes out when it's needed. And
Hmm.
when I was at that absolute low point, it was like this voice came through to me saying, Tim, if you've only got 2 cents worth of energy, you better invest that 2 cents wisely. And I couldn't work any harder, But every now and then we could get horizontal in the dirt and get your head down for an hour maybe or two.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, instead of just crashing into the dirt, I'll take that 2 cents that I have and I'll do some deep breathing. Because in the army, they get you to take a sight picture. To take a sight picture down your rifle, you take a deep breath in, let it out slowly, and then you take up the first trigger pressure. So instead of trying to sleep, I focused on my left thumb, my non-dominant hand, and I pictured a little pinhole in the top of it, and I breathed deeply, like sucked air down my thumb. And
Mm.
eventually, that thumb didn't just relax; it started glowing white, in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
And I pulled it through my thumb to my pointer finger, and then I went to sleep. And I noticed that when I did that, I'd wake up with, instead of 2 cents, 20 cents. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And in the next time I got horizontal, I invested the 20 cents, my thumb and through my finger, through my hand, woke up and I had $2 worth of energy.
Mm.
And I discovered, Danny, that energy is like money. How you invest, it's how you get it back. And I couldn't work any harder, but I could improve the quality of my sleep. And I noticed that improving the quality of my rest, everything started getting better. And there came a point where, I was investing $2, getting $20 back, and I had extra energy so I could wake up and I could do a few push-ups, lift a few ammo tins. And that was good for me. But then I realized, hey, I'm in a team.
Right.
And if they're having a bad day, I'm having a bad day.
Absolutely.
And it's funny how as your energy rises, your awareness expands. And when I was fatigued, my awareness was like a pinprick,
Hmm.
and it was all about me. So I noticed that sleep was the bridge between me being rather selfish and wrapped up and justifiably, I was,
Right.
in a world of hurt, but I, being externally focused, investing on this so I could then be aware of others and do what I could. And I realized, look, even if I'm being selfish, it makes a lot of sense to build others up around you, because I had to go to Afghanistan to realize when the person next to me is stronger, I'm stronger. Who did I want around me when good times turn bad? Do I want fatigued, disconnected people?
Right.
you know, or did I want rested and connected people? Makes a lot of sense, man. And so now that's kind of in my DNA, Danny. The difference, and I'm a human, right? I'm
Hmm.
the difference
Yeah.
between me being selfish and generous is how well I can rest, rejuvenate, and recover. Um, and it's such a switch, but it's almost like the culture we live in has an acceptance of poor quality sleep. They just think it's normal.
Yeah.
you know. I had 2 hours sleep last night, had a coffee. What's your problem?
Right.
We
Or
almost
like
give
you can sleep
badges.
when you're dead.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. We give badges to people that can work incredibly long hours, cash in their tomorrows to live today. And nobody's, it wasn't until I was at sort of rock bottom that I actually started seeing not just the benefit of sleep, but how to do it naturally. But
that's funny that you
backing it
say it
up a
like
bit,
that because like isn't sleep inherently natural? Like you know how to just sleep.
yes, but unfortunately, if you've had chronically elevated cortisol levels for periods of time, we often think that when we're being still and resting, there's always something else to do. Like it's not a case of just turning the light off at the end of the day and then because your brain's still kicking over. So it it's not, some people don't need to be told to work harder.
Hmm.
They have to be shown how to sleep. And so my thing is, think of your performance, all the things that you want to achieve in this world, like a pyramid. Top of the pyramid, you're achieving what you want. Whether it's, making dollars, creating a fantastic relationship, performing in a physical sport, that's the top of the pyramid. Everyone sees that. But the bottom of the pyramid is your rest, recovery, and healing art forms.
Mm.
And no one sees that. No one praises you up for that. There's no public, going, hey, this person got a good night's sleep. Woo! You know, um, but it's probably two-thirds of the pyramid. And that's why in war, if you want to destroy your enemy, just take out the bottom of their pyramid, take out their sleep. And if people really understand, like corporates kind of get this because the data's in, like sleep poor employees take almost twice as many sick days. They're
Wow.
30-40% less productive, and the workplace health and safety goes up. I think they worked out it was like between $1,500 and $3,000 per annum per employee per sleep poor employee in
Wow.
loss of productivity, loss of sick days, and all that sort of stuff. So the data is in, but what happens was what happened to me when I told a doctor that hey I couldn't sleep, they just threw a pharmacy at me,
Yep.
and I lost 6 years of my life to pills. I didn't know there was a natural alternative. Um, and I can't get that time back, Danny, but as God is my witness, I made a promise not to let anyone else go down that rabbit hole without some natural options.
So what led you to finally like leave the pills behind and like just dedicate your sleep to like a more natural way? Does that make sense? That
Yeah,
question
no,
make
no,
sense?
good call because people dance in this space without and thinking it's normal
Right.
and waking up at 2 a.m., getting out of bed, struggling, hating life. And I'm a guy with a lot of chronic injuries. If I'm not living a healthy lifestyle, they kick my ass straight away. So the question is how it actually came together. I knew about breath work,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't until my divorce that I started understanding what was stopping people breathing properly, as well as that breath has a certain medicinal level. Okay, we're all breathing,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a certain way to make it medicinal. Um, and even if you take a deep breath, understanding that it's not so much a set of lungs we all own, it's a medicine cabinet with a lot of different shelves. And if you breathe a certain way, you can elicit a certain medicine. Uh, so I had a COVID divorce and, you know, classic example of lost house, home, money, regular access to kids. I was sleeping on the couch in my parents' place,
Mm.
and you can bet I wasn't sleeping very well.
Yeah.
And this was the irony, though. I knew about breath work. I knew in my mind that breath work would bring me peace, but it was like all that crap in my system had me locked into this state that I couldn't escape. I knew what the right thing was, but I couldn't do it. And I had an understanding that your mind's like a garden. Whatever you water grows.
Yeah.
And I was watering the weeds of stress. And the weeds of stress, they don't just take over the garden. Um, it's like eyeballs pop out of them, they become sentient and they become aware of the things that you do that feed them, and they become hyper aware of the things that you do that starve them.
Mm-hmm.
Like a small example of this is, before you go and do some exercise, there's a part of you going, oh, let's not do this now. Let's do it later. I don't, maybe I'll just look at my phone for a bit. That's the disempowered parts of you knowing that if you exercise and you empower your physical body, they're kicked out.
Yep.
So all the negative parts of me was screaming the loudest before they got kicked out, right? And at 2 a.m. when I had all this stress, and it felt worse than the war zone of Afghanistan, to be honest.
Mm.
And I was I was about to do alcohol, pills, self-harm, and I just looked at my left thumb and I said, Tim, you can take one breath, take one fucking breath. And I drove it into my chest and went, oh my gosh, this works. It felt like I was coming up from the bottom of the ocean, Danny. And
Wow.
then I got a second finger, take a second breath, drove two fingers in. Okay, this is working. Take three, get to five, breath after breath, finger after finger. And then somewhere between breath 15 and 20, those stress weeds got kicked out. The chemical override happened. And the rest of my brain was like, thank goodness you kicked those freaking stress weeds out. Keep doing this. This is working.
Right, because stress can kill you. Like, stress is so bad for you. It's amazing what breath can do too. Like, I've been trying to teach my son. He's 4, and I'm like, you know what, buddy? I get you're like super overwhelmed about like the world, but like when he gets really worked up, I'm like, just take one deep breath and then let's talk about it. Like, and I don't know why I do that, but I'm like, let's take a deep breath and then we'll like figure out what it is that's causing you to have this temper tantrum or whatever.
Yeah, well, breath is your way back to sovereignty. And to me, mental health isn't so much a mental problem, it's a physical disconnect. So when I'm so focused out there, I've disconnected from my own body.
Hmm.
And I can have all sorts of crazy cortisol and hyper and shallow breathing, without even knowing because I'm so focused out there. So when you breathe and come back to your body, this is your charge point. So when I'm working with high school students, Danny, I'll say, what would happen if you never charged your phone? Of course, it would go flat, but before it goes flat, it goes onto this power saver mode.
Hmm.
Okay, where you can barely see the screen, you don't have access to all the functions, um, and that's what I've often seen humans as a collective functioning in because they're um, they're focused outside of them. They're not connected to this. They're not connecting back into their charge point. And if you want to create a conspiracy theory here, I believe that currently we're an economy of dysfunction.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So there's things that we can do for ourselves that the economy says, hey, no, just pay money, I'll do it for you, you know? So creating your own energetic state. No, no, we'll sell you a coffee, we'll sell you an energy drink,
Mm.
creating your own, state of relaxation. No, 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 I'll sell you a pill. I'll give you alcohol to change your state.
Yeah.
Okay. And I personally believe we are made to be in altered states, but I'm dyslexic. I see things in patterns.
Hmm.
There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's a $540 billion illegal drug spend. We like being in altered states, but we don't know how to do it for ourselves.
Right.
And that's getting that economy of dysfunction is capitalizing on that. So when with your breath, we can alter our states, you know, whether it's studying, sleeping, working out in the gym, getting high in your own supply. This is what the magic of breath is. And once we actually can do it for ourselves, all that economy of dysfunction becomes redundant really quickly. So my goal for all the people I interact with is for them to be energetic millionaires. Okay. Considering
Absolutely.
energies like money, how you get it, how you invest it, how you get it back. And Danny, you've got a unique energy investment portfolio inside of you, things that you do that give you a lot of energy, things that your kids do that give them energy,
Hmm.
things that we do that take energy, people that we hang out that take energy,
Yeah.
so it's even you can't even think like that if you're stuck in this dysfunctional economy that tells us no, no, you pay money for us to do things for you that you could otherwise do for yourself. you know imagine leaving the house going, you know what, I've given myself the peace, power, connection, joy that I'm looking for. That the money that I'm earning, yeah, I'm going to get that car and I'm going to enjoy that car. I'm going to get that house and I'm going to enjoy that house. But that's not going to do for me what I haven't already done for myself. Imagine leaving your house going, yeah, I've got this. Today's just a victory lap. Today's just me going, you know what, it feels good to do this. And it's one thing to blah, blah, blah and say that,
Hmm.
but it's another thing to actually go, whoa, this is the real deal.
Yeah.
And this is why I found that you know breath gives you back your own sovereignty of self, your ability to feed, nourish, heal be generous to others.
So you mentioned that you're like really passionate about helping PTSD or like veterans with PTSD. So like when I was in the throes of my PTSD and like I was having nightmares all the time, like I didn't want to sleep. Like you couldn't pay me enough to want to go to sleep because I'm having those dreams that I don't want to have.
Yeah.
So does this help? Does it change things? Like how do you like convince veterans who are having nightmares that like, hey, it's really good for you to sleep?
Well, you're touching on something that's rather massive, and we actually cracked the code in this space, and I'll share it with you and your listeners. It was two things that aren't on any spreadsheets, and these two things enabled me to achieve a personal goal of saving 40 veteran lives.
Hmm.
It was my lifetime goal. I didn't care if I achieved that, I'd die happy. It was achieved within 12 months, understanding these two concepts, which I'll share with you now. Firstly, it doesn't matter if your pain or discomfort is physical or mental. It gets to a certain duration or intensity that it transforms from just pain to loneliness, isolation. I'm the only one going through this.
Hmm.
Because in that state of isolation, no one's got your back. I can't drop my guard for a second because if I drop my guard, if I rest, something bad's going to happen and it's going to be my fault.
Right.
Okay. And so I put it to you, those dreams were you saying, you can't drop your guard. You're unsafe if you drop your guard. You need to be in this elevated state. And so the first thing that we found that worked is we had to break the person's isolation. And it could be something as simple as someone sharing, hey, I used to have these terrible dreams. I used to hate sleeping, but then I really understand what you're going through.
Right.
And then what usually happens is people's jaw, and I see this, when I was running these groups, the jaw would drop open and they'd say words like, fuck, I thought I was the only one, you know?
Right.
Um, but you can't leave it there. Veterans are really good at creating these antisocial social groups. I can only be myself around other veterans, right? And
Yeah.
and it's they're not the only ones. I'm sure there's other, people with certain illnesses that just get together each week and it's powerful breaking isolation, but they leave it there. So the thing that needs to happen next is because people are in that feeling all alone, I'm the only one who's got my back. It's very fatiguing to be like that. Um, and when I was in that loop, that's when I told the doctor, hey, I can't sleep. I lost many years to pills. But what you need to understand about breath work is that it's not meditation, it's not thoughts controlling thoughts. This is a chemical override. This isn't you alkalize your neural pathways. It's like going to the side of the house and pulling out the fuse box. The lights go out. And you
Yeah.
think it's impossible until it actually happens. Just like me, when I was in that, war zone inside my head, somewhere between breath 15 and 20, the alkalization happened and the empowered parts of my mind started taking over. I think you're switching from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. Your
Mm.
fight or flight, it's fast, but it's kind of stupid. It sees everything as a threat, right?
Yeah.
But then the prefrontal cortex, you know what? All is well. I am okay in this moment. And breath work guided, and this is what I found. Uh, as much as I knew it was good, it had to be guided. So I started making these stupid ass recordings of my own voice going, hey, Tim, breathe in, hold, out. I mean, but, ancient army saying, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid, right? So I
Exactly.
started making these recordings and, gave them to a few friends and they're like, Tim, this is working. This is great. And so, dialing back to your question, how do you break the cycle and get back into it? Um, Breaking isolation is the first step, knowing you're not the only person going through it. And within that, asking the golden question. And this is a game changer. How many other people are in my situation right now? If I was to give it a number, Okay, so Danny, if I was to ask you how many other, in your case, veterans were having trouble sleeping because of nightmares,
Oh, a lot of them.
let's give it a tangible number. 10, 20,000.
Oh, I would say, I guess I don't know how many veterans there are in the world, like 100,000, because I bet
That
like
I was that
across the world, right? Like
Yeah. Well, I would say
more
probably
than
that's
that.
a very, very generous, that's very low
Yeah,
figure, but let's call it 100,000, right? Okay. So right now, and this is part of breaking the isolation, going, oh, okay, if there's other people in this right now, and I encourage people to picture those 100,000 people. There's 50,000 on your left, Danny, 50,000 on your right, and they're saying, hey, Danny, if you can find a way forward for you, you can find a way forward for us.
mm,
And a lot of them you probably haven't even met yet. But when you do meet them, they'll say words to the effect of, you know what, I'm so glad you chose back in 2026 to move forward. Because the thing that helped you move forward, you're helping me move forward, and you're helping me in far less time.
yeah,
And so consider that you're not just making and when you're hurting, it's really hard because, geez, to make progress. I've only made an inch of progress the last month, right? But if you've got 100,000 people around you, that's 100,000 inches.
yeah. That's a lot.
So let's multiply out and see the self benefit. Even if it's an inch of progress, that's 100,000. And so making decisions based on the fact that you've got all these people willing you on, and you make a way forward for you, you make a way forward for them. Okay. And if all it is listen to some soundtrack telling me to breathe in and out, I can do that.
Yeah,
I can do that. That's a win. Um, and so what we found was once we, asked that golden question of people, how many other people do you think are in that situation? And then started doing things to get them out of fatigue. It's like all the crap fell off their inner compass, their inner knowing, and they knew what they were supposed to do next.
mm,
And this is where, there's millions of dollars spent on mental health. And it seems, I mean, if you're going to go conspiracies, all the crap they pour in misses the mark. If you're not addressing the isolation someone's feeling, if they could have the best psychologist in front of them, but if they couldn't trust them and they're too fatigued
hmm,
to take on, it's pointless, right? So if you don't address the loneliness and isolation people feel, if you don't address the resultant fatigue, it is really hard for anything to get in.
mm,
But conversely, when you address those 2 points, people sort of click into what they know what they're supposed to do next. And this is what we found time and time again. People essentially knew what to do, but it was hard to know what to do when you didn't know who to trust. You felt like you were the only one going through it, and you were incredibly fatigued.
I think the bigger conspiracy here is that they want us to be fatigued. Like they want us to be because like we talked about at the beginning, like they want us to not sleep in there. We almost like praise people like, "Oh, you got 2 hours of sleep last night and you're like running just fine." Like, "Oh, sleep when you're dead," all these things. But like they want us to be tired. They want us to not function because then they can control us better. I mean, you talked about it with the military. The very first thing they do when you get to boot camp is like they kept us up for 72 hours because then they can like break us down easier, right? Like the same thing when I went to SEER school, like they made us tired for an entire week before they're like, okay, now we're going to interrogate you and see what you're going to give us. Like we hadn't slept in 5 days. Like, yeah, I'm going to try to give you whatever I can to sleep a little bit. So, yeah, I think they like to have us in this state of dysfunction.
Yeah, dysfunction, off-centeredness, and just picture this: you've got two groups of people, right? And consider that we are in a consumer society, and everyone knows that, right? But what's
Yeah,
the goal of a consumer society? It's to
get you to
consume,
consume.
right? And people go, okay, but they don't actually see the gravity of this. Okay, so if you had two groups of people, and let's say one group of people, they weren't sleeping, They were told that whatever they had was never enough, that all the solutions were outside of them, and you've got to look after you. Don't look after anyone else. It's all about you.
Yeah.
And then you had another group of people, their sleep was restorative and they woke up feeling good. They knew their value and they could improve it. They knew that improving others improved them. And they could they also knew and saw and valued the value that was inside of them and could increase it. Now, which group of people would buy more shit they didn't need?
The dysfunctional group, the group that's not sleeping, that they need
Yeah,
more things from the outside world.
yeah. Someone once asked me in the last week, Tim, what how would you create world peace? And I said I would start one good night's sleep at a time. And they kind of looked at me like I'm like, think about it. When someone's not sleeping, they're not thinking. Their body is under functioning. They're looking for solutions outside of them. They're often I know I'm cranky at other people,
Yeah.
and I'm sort of blaming others, stuck in my own world. Conversely, when I'm well rested, connected to self, got a lot of energy, I got a lot of options. More than just that guy's an a-hole, I'm going to be an a-hole back to him, you know? Um, and all these things, all these abilities that we have start coming online. But if we're in power saver mode, like a phone on power saver mode, we don't have access to all the functions that we have, all this higher functioning stuff.
Yeah.
And we just think it's normal to be in power saver mode, and we build worlds around the fact that we don't have access to all this awesome stuff that's inside of us. So the biggest joy that I have, Danny, isn't so much, improving sleep, it's seeing people flourish in ways they never thought possible. You know,
Yeah.
the saying I have about sleep is the soil from which everything grows. And the world we live in is very visual. If someone doesn't have a trunk in the shape that they want, there's plenty of things you can buy to help your trunk. If you don't have the fruit and the life that you want, there's plenty of things that you could buy to help with that fruit. But someone who really understands how that tree works, they won't just look at what is seen, they'll look at the unseen, the soil from which it grows. And if you improve the quality of that, well, guess what? You get the trunk, you get the fruit. And I see this time and time again. It brings me so much joy that inside of everybody are these seeds of uniqueness, seeds of greatness, and they're just lying dormant, waiting for the soil quality to lift, and then it naturally flourishes. You cannot stop a seed from flourishing with the, really enriched soil. And this is how this unseen part, um, someone's sleep quality, impacts absolutely everything.
So right before we started recording, you said that you had like just come from doing breath work because you're on the other side of the world. So like our time zones are drastically different. So
Yep.
you're like, yeah, I just finished my breath work and like for the day, like you were getting up and doing your breath work. So you do it multiple times, not just at bedtime. You're doing it all the time.
Well, here's the thing. Having a lot of chronic injuries, even though I got into breathwork because I noticed my pain scales were dropping. Okay, you remember I said
Okay.
about medicine,
Yeah.
and a big part of my pharmaceutical regime was around pain. But I just noticed the more breath work I did, the more my pain scales dropped. And as much as going to sleep with breath, I'd wake up feeling better. I was like, you know what? I think I could improve this. So getting out of breath, and this was the game changer because I just woke up. My whole life was waking up. You just feel like shit for the first 90 minutes, like death
Yeah.
warmed up. That was me. Shut up until I've had a coffee,
Hmm.
and and I thought, well, instead of just forcing this, how about taking 5 minutes, just 5 minutes before my feet fling over the side and do breath work getting out of bed?
Mm.
And holy crap, it worked. So I have a specific breath work that turns my bed into a cloud.
Yeah.
I have a specific breath work that turns my bed into a trampoline.
Mm.
And life occurs very differently if the first 5 minutes of the day you're connecting to your own power, your own peace. Because I noticed if I woke up and I didn't have something there to prompt me into my a positive, empowered, oxygenated mindset, it's like I had all these negative thoughts ready to jump in. I've heard people call it the vultures on the bedhead. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the negative thoughts that are waiting to dive into your head. And I noticed how quickly I would absorb the negative stuff if I didn't have a structure in place. You know, a simple button to press to say breathe, massage certain points, and and to understand that if you can just win the first 5 minutes of the day, you've won the day. And
That's so
and
powerful. Like, I want to stop you there for a second because so many people roll over, they grab their phones, and the first thing they do is jump on social media where they then get like just just overwhelmed with like negative, like the world's burning, this, that, the other. Like, I had to tell my husband, like, you have to stop telling me about all the AI taking over the world first thing in the morning because I just can't handle it. Like, I just can't do that. And so, like just training your brain or like changing your mindset like that little bit, but like it doesn't take long. 5 minutes is not that long. We're all laying in bed for 5 minutes before we get up anyway. Well, that's not true. My husband does not do that. He gets right out. But I'm laying in bed for 5 minutes.
yeah, yeah, well, consider that, doing a bit of breath work in bed
Yeah.
makes all the difference. And I saw that energy is either spiraling up or it's spiraling down. You're not holding ground. When I had negative thoughts in my head, I noticed my whole body would change and life would occur very differently, and I'd think about more negative stuff. And you're speaking to your point on, looking at your phone too long in the mornings. That's an automatic disconnect from your body. That's setting your day up for your focus out there.
Mm,
You've already pulled yourself out of your charge point. So breath, movement is awesome for your body, but I found, again, this falls into the category of if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid.
right.
I found it super powerful, even though I was resistant to it. Positive affirmations in the mirror,
Mm,
saying
yes.
3 times, all things are working out for my benefit. All things are working out for my benefit. Everything in your life, Tim, is working out for your benefit. And again, that is not an easy thing to do first thing in the morning when you're waking up. But if I've
Hmm.
got like a recording there to guide me to that, well, I'll just go and do it. And it's easy to do it. And if I'm not lazy, but if there's an easy way to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So to have these silly little recordings going, do this, do this, do that, before you know it, you're like connected to your body, connected to your mind, and then you're ready to, connect to the outside world.
Mm,
And without, I have to say it's quite obvious, but the more powerful we are connected inside ourselves, the more powerfully we can be connected, outside of ourselves. And so I always ask, at the end of a morning routine where you've connected to your body, connected to your mind, would you like to double the energy and connection you're feeling right now? And if the answer is yes, consider that being connected to yourself is only half the connection.
yeah.
You've got to connect outside of yourself. So consider the possibility that doing an act of generosity to somebody else is you making a full circle connection to somebody, you
Mm,
know? So I believe that generosity is a natural progression when you're spiraling your energy upwards.
wow. I guess I never thought about it like that. Huh. I have
If you want
been.
to buy,
So,
if you
no,
want to
go ahead.
biohack your own health,
Yeah.
do acts of generosity from that position of strength, from servanthood, not servitude, because then that creates so much powerful chemicals in you, and it doesn't have to cost you anything. Like I literally just, the voicemail button on a messenger service. I'll go, hey Grant, just saying good day, mate, and letting you know that you're bloody awesome. I love you, and in my world, you know what? My world's better because you're in it. You have a fucking good day, you know? And then that's it. Like what, 20 seconds?
Right. And
And
it didn't
mate,
cost you anything.
Yeah, felt good to me. And when old mate gets it, he's like, damn. And then often you get that message back. I do it without expectation. That's the thing.
Right.
You gotta do it without any attachments. But when it comes back, it's like, damn, like consider, Danny, that if you knew the people around you had your back 100 freaking percent,
Right.
and they knew you had their back 100 freaking percent, it's like everything else in life becomes a very small detail. We got this. Bring on it.
Yeah. Because like it's like I didn't realize that you were thinking about me. Like, wow, thank you. Like it's so simple. Yeah, I guess I never thought about that. I give people compliments sometimes, but then I feel like weird. I'm like, I'm like not trying to be weird. I like your hair today, or like that's like a nice outfit. It makes people feel good. And I'm in the habit of like complimenting every other women because I don't know, it's easier to do, I think. But yeah, I guess I never thought about it like that. Like giving back.
Sometimes it's really easy just to go, good morning, John, and just send that 3 words, good morning, Terry, John, just, and that they know that you've thought of them and you've sent that greeting through. Um, and like, oh, that's just asking. I always ask myself, what would I like today? And once I'm at the right energetic state, I will then give it to others. And this is where Tim gets a bit woo-woo right now because, like I said, I had to go to Afghanistan to realize the person next to me is stronger than I'm stronger. These days, I actually see that other people are just other versions of me. I'm not Tim. I'm another form of Danny.
Hmm.
Okay. And, going through life, it seems quite natural to reach a certain point where you want to build up others. And I don't actually see others as others. They're just other forms of me in the way that, when you go to the gym, there's some guys that just work arms and they're
Yeah.
just these big arms walking around. They couldn't do a sit up or, a
A
leg
squat.
press, but they got
Yeah.
these big arms, right? And so I put it to them that they're not fully strong.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this world that as I see, we're all interconnected, I want all of me to be strong. So it's almost a selfish act when I do what I can to strengthen those around me because they're all the other parts of me. And when I see it like that, I detach from the idea of getting I give something and then I expect something back because that's just another part of me. And they if I'm going to be fully strong, this is how I have to think.
Right. So how do we teach ourselves breath work? Like what do we do?
Sure. Well, first up, it's everything starts with seeing the self benefit and how quickly it can benefit you. And I'd love to show you just how quickly that can happen if you're open to doing
Let's do
a
it.
few breaths. So my party trick, Danny, is I'll show you how to completely relax your body in just 3 breaths.
Am I gonna
Okay.
fall asleep because I did not get a good night's sleep last night, Tim?
Well, this is perfect. Okay, so just register right now. If I was, because when I'm working with people, I'll ask, how good are you feeling out of 10? And how
Like
bad are you feeling out of 10? You
oh,
get that? So if
that's
you go, oh shit, I've had a bad night's sleep. So see how I'm balancing that? You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Because I feel like okay. I don't know, like a 7.
Okay. And that's good or bad?
I feel good.
Okay. 7. And if I say how bad you are feeling, what
Then
what
wouldn't
number
that
would
be
you give?
3 then?
Well,
Like wouldn't I just
it's
give it the other number?
the invitation is to see that when you look at the bad stuff, it's amazing how quickly it grows. You get that?
Yeah.
So, oh, I did sleep poorly. Oh, you know what? To sort of whatever you look at grows, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do now, is uh, because breath has the ability to change your state, we have to give ourselves permission for that state change to happen.
Okay.
And often our current state is locked into into every cell without knowing it. So when I start any kind of practice, I always ask for permission from the person because this is just an invitation. Okay. Um, so Danny, do you give permission to your very own breath to fully nourish every single cell in your body?
Yes.
Awesome. That was easy. Next question. Do you give permission to your very own breath to fully nourish your conscious thinking mind?
Yes.
Great. Last one. Danny, do you give full permission to your very own breath to fully nourish your unconscious mind?
Yes. That was harder. I don't know. I'm like a little
Oh,
nervous about that.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, but like I'm a little nervous about it.
No, this is great. This is great. Okay. And this is going to be really simple. I'm going to be here the whole time coaching you through step by step. So all I'm going to get you to do is blow out and then breathe in more, 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 more.
Okay.
Okay. So I invite you to blow it out and shake as you blow it out. Blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, out, out,
Okay.
out, 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 out. And when you're all the way out, start breathing in. Now breathe in more, 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 more. Now hold it and just wriggle for a bit. Wriggle, 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 wriggle. And if it feels good, let it out with a nice big sigh. Just let that go through your system. That's
Oh,
your sovereign energy.
yeah, a little dizzy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we're oxygenating our system. And when you breathe in a bit more, did you notice how you breathe in a bit more to your top third?
Hmm.
Okay. Um, this basically is, as I understand it, where your energy levels sit. So when we're breathing into here, we're getting a lot more energy, not just because of the oxygen exchange, is that when if you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders, you're hunched over and you're
Yeah.
crushing your top third. So breathing into your top third makes you more structurally aligned. Okay.
Wow.
And think of it like this, and this is this was backed up with some military stats. Our body runs off electricity, okay? And there's all these electrical cables going from your brain through your system, but they're not like hard cables. They're like soft and squishy garden hoses, and
Mm.
when you step on your garden hose, there's less water going through. Well, when we're hunched over, we're essentially stepping on our energetic hoses, okay? So when we're breathing properly, it's not just the better breath, it's the alignment.
Mm.
And here's the funny thing, when I worked with the British Special Forces, they found that every degree your structure was out, you lost between 8 and 12% strength.
Wow.
Okay. So let's say I could carry 100 kilos. If I'm 1 degree out, I can only carry 88 to 92. Okay. So consider that one proper breath can actually make you 8 to 12% stronger.
And that makes a lot of people want to do it. Especially
Mm.
men, I think. Like, I don't know, you could correct me because I'll probably be wrong, but I feel like men are probably more nervous to do breath work than women. But if you
Men
tell
need it
them
more.
like you'll be stronger, then they'll do it.
Yeah, well, and that's I'm talking about self-benefit right now.
Right.
Okay. All right. So yeah, heck, I don't want to be injured. I don't want to, that's important to me. So self-benefit, right?
You're right.
So what I'm going to show you right now, and this is the joy I get from my job, I show people because we all own bodies, right?
Yeah.
But most people think it's just something that a meat bag that carries my eyeballs around, to look at my phone. What I'm going to show you right now is a little thing inside your body that will help power up this top third. Okay. So in your two fingers and thumbs, if you pinch them together, they become a power button. Okay. So what I'm going to get you to do is I've got mine up here so you can see them, but put yours down by the side and we're going to exhale. And then halfway through, we're going to pinch those power buttons and boost and see how that boosts the top third inhale.
Okay. So during the
Okay. So
inhale, we're gonna pinch.
yeah, on the inhale. So we're going
Okay,
to
okay, okay.
blow it out, shake it out,
Okay.
blow it
I
out,
gotta
shake
back
it
up a
out, blow
little.
it out. Yep. Blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, 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 out. And when you're all the way out, start breathing in. And then halfway through, hit those power buttons and look up, look up, look up, look up, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Hold it, wriggle gently, wriggle and stretch, wriggle and stretch, wriggle and stretch, stretch out any kind of stuck energy. And when you can't stop it, let out the juiciest sigh. Ah.
I didn't feel as dizzy that time.
Mhm. Did you notice anything as you're breathing in when you pinched those fingers, the top third of your energy, top third of your lungs inhaled a bit more?
Yeah, I think I brought attention to it too because I was like paying attention.
Yeah, yeah. Most people never pay attention to this. And it's a, if you saw someone rapidly shallow breathing, like, you know, they're freaking out, okay? And that's pumping more cortisol and stress through your system. A lot of people don't know that it doesn't matter if you breathe shallow, fast, or slow, you're sending a signal through your system that you're in fight or flight. You can't rest
Mm.
properly. Your brain can't switch off, okay? So what I'm going to show you now is a way to enhance your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest. So all of us, we all have noses. Okay, that's mine. It's funny when you look at it, and
It's funny when you
and
look at it. It doesn't look broken. Did you break your nose?
see that it is.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Yeah, yeah. I before I was in the army, I was a professional fighter.
Oh,
Um,
so you broke your nose.
early days of mixed martial arts. Yeah, yeah. And point I'm trying to make here is even if you've got what's called a deviated septum, behind our noses is the sinus systems. And when I was fighting, my coach always used to tell me, before you do a combination, Tim, do a big snort. Okay. Because in his mind, that pulled oxygen rapidly over the sinuses to oxygenate the brain. You
Hmm.
bypass the lungs when you give it a rapid inhale through the nose. And whether that was based in science or not, I don't know, but it helped me perform when I needed it. And what I'm going to get you to do now is do the same exhale, but then with your mouth closed, I want you to snort, like really push your nose to the ceiling and snort that air in like you're trying to snort air over your sinuses and into your brain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're simply almost going to do the same thing, but we're going to sort of double the speed of our inhale and we're going to suck it over our nose. Cool, cool.
Okay.
All right. So blow it out, shake it out. Have your power buttons ready. Power buttons ready. And when you're all the way out, hit those power buttons, rapid breathe in, gently wriggle, and let it out with a let that energy go through your body, conscious and unconscious mind. You can feel lightheaded, but that's okay. When you're breathing for the first time, it can feel a bit like, when you run around the block for the first time and you haven't gotten, and it feels really kind of like, oh, this is almost a bit too much.
Yeah.
Well, this is your breathing receptivity, your threshold increasing. So be gentle on yourself. So another thing that our economy of dysfunction bases itself on, Danny, is our lack of awareness of what our body can do for ourselves. Okay. So you breathing through your nose right now, your sinus cavities produce a particular kind of gas. It's called nitric oxide. Okay. We don't create nitric oxide by mouth breathing. We get it through nasal breathing. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It helps with brain function, cardiac function, your immune system, your recovery post-workout,
Hmm.
sexual function. Okay. Without tangenting too much, they gave nitric oxide to athletes to improve their performance, and they had this unexpected sexual function performance. So Viagra has a lot of nitric oxide in it.
Hmm.
But what I'm trying to say here is there's not a system you have in your body that isn't benefited from nitric oxide. So nasal breathing creates this medicinal result. And, to drive the point home, Danny, imagine if you went to a chemist and said, "Hey, I want something to help my brain function better, to help my perform better at, working out, sleep better, mood improve." How much do you think you'd pay for all the stuff they'd give you?
So much. And they give you
Yeah,
so many
right.
different things. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't know we can create this medicine ourselves. So nasal breathing creates this nitric oxide, and nitric oxide, its uptake is increased by 200% when you hum.
Oh.
Okay. So you see these, people meditating, going, they're just tapping into their own nitric oxide, which then has this really potent effect on everything. So I'm going to have an invitation right now. We're going to do the same thing again, and we're just going to relax everything and then hum with your mouth closed for as long as possible.
While you're holding your breath?
Okay. That well, we're going to breathe in,
Yeah.
we're going to relax, and then as your breath comes out, we're not going to go through our mouth. We're going to go
Okay.
for as long as possible through our nose.
Okay.
Cool, cool.
Let's do it.
So with your power buttons ready, we're going to blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, 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 out. And then when you're ready, rapid inhale, looking up through your nose. Open, 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 wriggle out any tension, and then just relax your head forward, relax your head forward. I encourage you to put your hands on your belly and then just start humming.
Mm.
Long as possible, long as possible. And just let that energy wash through your system.
I feel lighter. Like I just feel lighter.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain that.
Well, what you're tapping into right now, it's often hard to explain because you have to understand us as evolved human beings. Before we were speaking and thinking, we were breathing. You're tapping into your deep ancient wiring,
Hmm.
and that deep ancient wiring outranks your thinking mind. So this is why when we tap into our breath, it has such a powerful effect on our thinking mind, and our thinking mind doesn't want to give up its ownership. And so this is why breath work often needs to be guided, because we'll kind of talk ourselves out of it.
Hmm. That makes sense.
Um, and giving yourself the ability to bring yourself back to center is really key. And everything I do, Danny, it has to be powerful and positive, but the third one is most important, permanent. My promise when I was coming out of the healing space is if I was ever in a position to help other people, I wanted to give them permanent access to this power, right?
Yeah.
And so if if that little power button that you have, I encourage people to have that ready so when they go through their day and something takes their focus away from their body, like, I'm human, things annoy me,
Right.
whether it's in a queue or in traffic, I have these little power buttons and I'll snort, shake it, and discreetly in public, because I noticed that if I went through my day and things would happen and I just sucked it up and I didn't, breathe through it, then I'd have to drink alcohol at the end of the day. I'd have to deal with it like that through an external source. And the economy of dysfunction loves it when I can't access my own resources because it'll
Right.
provide it, you know. So I encourage people as you're walking around the place, get used to using your power buttons, as I call them. You can call them whatever you want. But But then when you're out in the real world and something bothers you, oh, there's somebody doing something that bothers me. First thing I'm going to do is breathe. I'm going to get back to me. This is where my power is. I'm not going to give my power away anymore. Um, so that little exercise, you could treat it like your medicine button, or when you're in hospital, call the nurse button,
Yeah.
whatever has you log that as your first port of call for being the person you're born to be. And I don't think we were born to be continually off-centered by things that continually, you know, cause us stress.
No, I think they love to do that to us. I think they like to cause us stress and put us off kilter. They don't want us working at our highest capacity. We're a threat to them at that point.
Well, they're completely redundant at that point.
Yeah.
And they'll fight like hell to maintain that dependency. Um, and my vision is to ultimately imagine a metric of success of a company or a government being the quality sleep of the people they govern. Okay. Like that's no small thing because you can say, hey, I'm doing a great job. I'm making roads. I'm making, building factories. But are the people you govern sleeping peacefully in their beds at night? I believe we owe them that much. And that's a very
Yeah.
measurable metric, you know? Um, yeah. So ultimately, that would be my vision to have, sleep as a metric of success. Um,
I think that's reasonable. And it like is so helpful just sleeping well. It restores everything in your body. Wow. So Tim, where can everybody else find this? Obviously, you and I did this here right now, and they're gonna listen to this, right? But like, where can they find you?
sure. Well, like I said, my promise was to create easy access to this stuff because when people are fatigued, they just want to go, look, here's what I want, do it for me. It's
Yeah.
hard to take on a bunch of new stuff. So they're probably used to people saying, oh, sleep's important, but here's a thousand things you're going to do before sleep. I realized that just doesn't work. So I created if anyone's got a phone and they download the Breathwork in Bed app, they just tell it when they want to sleep, and we take care of the rest.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and it just falls out of your phone. So it's made for people. Go, look, here's what I want. Take care of it for me. It falls out of your phone. You tap the thing. When you're going to sleep, and if I don't get a reminder, I generally don't do something.
Mm-hmm.
And so those little reminders are just absolute gold, and that's what we do. And if you and the morning one is in there as well. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, no worries at all. And uh, I mean, obviously, and I do have a 28-day free trial if people just want to trial it and see if breath work works for them. Um, but I can say this time and time again, I've seen it work. Uh, in fact, there was a guy I knew this guy, and he hadn't slept in over 38 years. He had insomnia,
Oh
and
man.
he just thought it was normal. I prescribed him some breath work, and I checked in 8 days later. And he says, Tim, the only time I woke up was when the dog barked. And this guy was in his late 50s, and now he's training to be the world's fastest 60 plus triathlete.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you met somebody that it hasn't worked for? Have you ever met somebody that like breath work just doesn't work?
Well, if people have not given themselves permission, like I didn't, like they're locked in that state.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but usually when they're not feeling alone anymore, there's people that they can trust. This ancient wiring usually outranks this. And and I'm sure there's exceptions to every rule, but
Right.
I would very comfortably say 80% of people, and that's an understatement. I'm thinking if I was to give it a number, probably 90+%, But if you say like 90+%, people go, well, you can't make me do something. There's that
Right.
automatic opposition. So this is why this is all an invitation, and it's all about you giving yourself permission to experience what's inside of you. Actually, you know what? There was one person I remember now. I was running this group, and and everybody loved it, but this one lady came up and said, I didn't get anything from that, but the scale to which she went to impede herself was incredible. She said, I felt my own pain. I felt everyone's pain in the room. I then felt everyone's pain on the planet. You know, she really had to scale up how much the blockages she had to maintain to
Wow.
actually stop this coming through. I'm like, well, that is rather incredible, the level of blockage you had to maintain and how far you had to go for that. So yes, now thanks for refreshing me to that. So yes, I would say, one size doesn't fit all, but that's why, try it for 28 days. It's not going to cost you anything. And in fact, the amount of times that saved me at 2 a.m. when I've woken up and my thoughts are doing those ones,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that has been, a real game changer, to me and everyone I know. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Even in like the couple exercises we did here, like wow, like I just feel like I don't know, like different something. But I've heard, like I told you before we started recording, like every time I'm listening to like a biohackers or like functional health medicine, like or like even like physical fitness gurus, right? Like everybody's like you have to sleep better. Breath work's like the easiest way to like hack your body. And I'm like, okay, well, everybody's saying it. Like,
Yeah.
why are we not listening?
Well, they're saying it, but they're often not giving access to people where they need it. Okay. Because these people, they're up on the energetic superhighway, right? Oh,
Right.
look at me. I'm awesome, right? But someone who's actually been in that place, they know how to create what I call an energetic on ramp. You've got to meet them where they are. So people down here go, yeah, this is what I want. Take care of it for me. And
Mm-hmm.
and the genius of what I do is it's very simple stuff, but it's accessible. It just falls out of your phone twice a day. Boom, boom, done. And most people, it's like, oh, that felt good, more please. That felt good, more please. And then often it might take, a couple of weeks of really good night's sleep, and then they're like, oh wow, I actually am going to do an act of generosity to somebody else. And that's encouraged within the space. Again, it's all an invitation, but to be able to have stewardship over your own body starts with knowing how amazing it is and what it can do, and how your breath is the link between your peace and your productivity, your
Mm.
peace and prosperity. Um, but it doesn't, in my experience, it does need to be guided because it's our oldest habit. Um, and if I didn't have that guidance, it wouldn't be turned into that medicinal dose. Yeah.
That makes sense. Tim, is there anywhere else everybody can find you? I'll link
Breath
the
work.
app in the show notes as well, but whatever
Yeah.
else you want me to link.
Well, look, if you look up breath, I've got socials, breath work in bed. It's all there. Because I have to. I think social media is just turning into social junk mail. I've got it because it's there,
Yeah.
and there are a few little healthy tips that I put in there. But if I could, the exciting part for me, for people listening, and I acknowledge you for listening and tuning in, with Danny and myself. The exciting thing is not just the sleep. It's all the awesome things that are inside of you that it'll come out naturally, easily, and effortlessly once we start getting that sleep improved.
Mm.
Because those dormant seeds of uniqueness and greatness, they don't flourish on their own. They need the right environment. And I love seeing things come out of people. It's like seeing a color you've never seen before. Like, oh, wow, I never even knew that existed. So I can't do what you do, Danny, or your listeners, but I just have observed that if I can improve sleep quality, naturally, immediately, um, then they bring their gifts into the world even better.
which everybody wants to see your gifts. I like exploring people. Like I'm very curious about people. I like to know more about people. So like, yeah, I want to see your gifts. But I'm a people. I like them. So, but until next week, my friends, stay skeptical, and we will see you all then. Hey friends, The Rabbit Hole is an independent podcast written, hosted, and produced by me, Danny Mercy. Special thanks to Lindsay for research and writing. If you love the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening. Follow us on social media at rabbit.holepodcast and visit our website at stayskeptical.com for everything else.